Chelsea owner Roman Abramovich has been sanctioned by the UK government, meaning that he's now unable to sell the club. And Abramovich has had his assets frozen, a prohibition on transactions with UK individuals and businesses, a travel ban, and transport sanctions imposed on him. The sanctions are intended to stop the 55-year-old from making any money in the UK, and this includes from his club Chelsea as well. An application to the UK government can be made to sell Chelsea in the future as long as a Russian Israeli billionaire Abramovich does not profit or make any money from the transactions. Now, to give us more perspective in the studio about this particular issue, we have with us in the studio a sports media consultant and media officer, national under-23 team, Sharif Abdullah, here in the studio. Good morning and thank you for joining us on
Yes,
Daybreak.
good morning. It's a pleasure to have me.
All right. Also virtually, we have someone joining us all the way from Lagos, a sports journalist, Omodia Okulelegbe, to help us understand the implication of the UK's decision on Chelsea Football Club. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning.
Okay, now,
It's
first
great
of
to
all,
be here.
let's start with Okulelegbe. Now, with the freezing of Abramovich's assets, right, what are the implications on Chelsea and how does it affect the day-to-day operations of the club?
Well, thank you. I mean, it's a very, very difficult situation. Of course, Roman bought the club for 140 million in 2003, 2004, and the value of the club has risen to almost over 2 billion now. And you know that he is a billionaire. He's been helping the club, but now to be at that level, Chelsea need all the financing they can get. So it will affect the day-to-day running. The UK sanctions now, meaning they can bring in new players or even extend the contracts of old players. They cannot sell they cannot sell tickets, they can't do merchandise, they can't sell jerseys. In fact, from reports now, all the shops around Stamford Bridge, Chelsea have been locked down. No sales, nothing. So there's no revenue generation for the club. So it definitely will affect the club in financial terms. Then in footballing terms, it can also affect the psychology of the players, knowing that the future is bleak. They don't know if they will continue to pay the monies or the salaries and all of that. So it's going to affect them psychologically. But for now, they're still winning. They're still in the top three. But the future is really, really bleak for Chelsea right now.
Still talking about, the sale of Chelsea. Now, Abramovich actually stated that, even after the club is actually sold, that the money will be donated to victims of war in the Ukraine, right? Now, what effect will this new development have on Chelsea?
Well, if you remember, Roman had pushed for a peace talk, in Belarus, so that the invasion can end. But it didn't go really, really well. He's been pushing for a peace talk, knowing that he might lose all his assets in the UK. And let me take you back a little bit. Remember that this marriage between the Chelsea owner Roman Abramovich and the UK government has not been going well. It was strained a couple of months ago when he was refused entry into the UK. So it's not just starting now. This just broke the camel's back. It didn't just start now. So uh, if it does that, that might cushion the effect a little bit. He's a billionaire. He wrote off all the debts of Chelsea over 1 billion pounds. That's to tell you how magnanimous he can be. And the Chelsea Trust Fund was going to even go ahead to help, the immigrants from Ukraine that are coming in as refugees now into the UK, to help them settle in, give them some money, just for the UK government to see that, okay, as a club, as an entity, we're trying our best to see how we can support Ukraine in this whole quagmire. It's a messy situation. Even if it does that now, I don't think the financing of Chelsea will be the same again, because before you get an owner like Abramovich who spends money, recklessly for the club, it will take a long time. And this is why I said the future is really bleak for Chelsea. Even if they go ahead to even do some humanitarian, things for the Ukrainians, the sanctions still stands, and we don't know if the war ends, if the UK government will release these sanctions, because it's really terrible on Chelsea. They cannot even spend more than £20,000 on away trips. Imagine them going as far as the Champions League to other nations to play outside the UK. So it's really tough for Chelsea.
All right, well, let's get perspectives from Sheriff Abdallah. Now, wouldn't it have been a better decision to let Abramovich, sell off the club? Maybe if you look at the fact that, Chelsea has gone beyond just a football club. There are people all over the world that have personalized, the club Chelsea, and for them it's beyond football. There are all sorts of satisfaction that they get, from being a fan of Chelsea, and some of those, dimensions that we cannot really quantify.
Well, I think this decision is probably in the best interest of the club. Why am I saying this? Chelsea Football Club is one club that is a force to be reckoned with, not just in English, but European football by extension. Remember 2003, 2004 season when Roman Abramovich, the Russian billionaire, acquired the club. I think Chelsea Football Club is the first club that broke the duopoly of Manchester United and Arsenal. Because prior to 2000, in the late 90s, early 2000, in the Premier League, it was all about Manchester United and Arsenal. So when the Russian billionaire took over Chelsea, I think it stopped bigger. I mean, as at then, 2 horse race to 3 horse race. That was before the Etihad takeover of the Middle East billionaires as well. So at the moment, I think the club is in a dire, difficult situation, and this will surely affect the club. A lot of players will be considering their futures. Remember, Chelsea are the current European Champions League Cup holders. They've also enjoyed a lot of success over almost 2 decades now when Roman Abramovich took over. So at the moment, the situation is getting from terribly bad to even worse for Chelsea. So probably they need someone like Roman Abramovich, because like the Lagos guest rightly stated, Chelsea need another owner that is absolutely passionate and enthusiastic about football. Because you need to be passionate about football before you inject over £1 billion to sign players and run the club. And at the moment, sponsors will definitely stop coming, and a lot of world-class players will be considering their futures, probably being signed by other Chelsea rivals in England and other European clubs. So it's definitely a difficult situation for Chelsea Football Club at the moment, and I want to believe, if care is not taken, probably by the end of this season, a lot of players might leave Chelsea Football Club to other European giants.
All right, now, what other alternatives are there to this, whole conflict? Is there not just any other way to deal with this, rather than just freezing the whole account and imposing all those kind of sanctions on Abramovich?
Well, we all know that this is beyond football. This is something that has a lot to do with, politics, exactly. It's just beyond football. He has been accused by the UK government of, promoting what the Russian government is doing at the moment. That's invading Ukraine, the fact that he's among the few that are supporting the Russian government under the current president, Vladimir Putin. So it's beyond football, and one thing is certain: you can hardly separate football from politics, because politicians run football. Politicians also are very passionate about football. So I think, like I earlier stated, probably the UK government is taking this decision in the best interest of the club. I don't know. But if there should be another takeover, then definitely that owner has to be absolutely passionate. It can't be anything less than what we've seen in the last 19 years when Roman Abramovich took over. I mean, they've enjoyed a lot of success. 21 trophies in the last 19 years when Roman took over, with 5 Premier League titles, 2 UEFA Champions League, 2 UEFA Europa League titles as the major high points of Roman Abramovich's era when he took over Chelsea.
Just before we call for the break, now, I know Chelsea has actually been on a winning streak, these past, months. But then, why do they always find themselves in troubled waters?
Well, at the moment, this is a very difficult situation for them. I mean, because like I earlier stated, it's beyond football. This has to do with their owner. They've gotten themselves in really bad situation a couple of years.
But does politics and football go together?
Certainly. I stated this before. I mean, administrators run... Okay, fine. Most of the federations, presidents across the globe, not just in Africa or Europe, across the globe, are politicians. Because football is all-encompassing. Football accommodates the fans, politicians, administrators, and what have you. So you cannot separate politics from football. So at the moment, I think something has to be done for Chelsea Football Club because the situation is absolutely terrible for the club.
All right, now let's hear what football enthusiasts on the streets have to say about some of these recent developments, specifically on the sanctions imposed on Roman Abramovich. Take a look.
Naturally, the ban will affect the football club. This is to show the level of seriousness of what is happening between Russia and the Ukraine. Ordinarily, sports is not involved when war or any other thing is happening. But we have seen this time that FIFA is involved, International Olympic Committee, IOC, is involved, UEFA is involved, and now the British government has come out heavily on Chelsea. I don't want to say on Abramovich, because Abramovich is an individual, though the financier. But this is a football club that has so many families, because every player there has who he is catering for. Has involved sports. Originally, the Russian country has been banned from every football activities. And I think the British government has taken it a step further by...
Another phase, like, it might not be the Chelsea we know, because it might have to affect some players, because we understand that a Ghanaian investor, a business mogul, wants to buy over Chelsea. So, and if you begin to have different person come to take over Chelsea, so some players may have to go, so which will also affect them when it comes to field of play. And Chelsea now are still struggling, are still trying to see how they can remain in the top 4. So if this man have to go, a lot of things will change. Financially, emotionally, physically, psychologically, about the component of the club will change. And also the fans also will feel it, because they don't know who is the person that is coming over to buy the club. They don't know how the new owner is going to treat the club. Is it going to still remain the Chelsea they know? So a lot of things are going to change for Chelsea, and I just hope that it's going to be for good, not for bad, because...
All right, let's go back to our virtual guest, Amodia. Now, Amodia, with, these sanctions, do you think this will be a distraction, for the team in the ongoing season?
It remains to be seen. They won last night against Norwich. This season, thank goodness, this season is just about wrapping up. We just have a couple of games to go now. But like my colleague said, they are the European champions, and they have a game next week against Lille. The second leg, they won the first leg 2-0. Now, psychologically, it will affect the players, but this professional club side, especially a club of Chelsea's magnitude, They have psychologists, among the training staff to, pep talk the players and tell them, like just yesterday after the eggheads at Chelsea had a meeting with the UK government, they had a session with the players and the coaching staff just before that game against Norwich, telling them go ahead with everything on pitch, on the field. Make sure you're winning the games. Make sure you're getting all the points. We will take care of all the situations at the back end. So what does that mean? Telling them that, okay, you can still get to the top three. You can still win the Champions League. You can still win the FA Cup. They are still in these competitions. So in as much that we will sit here and say it will affect them for sure, they are professional footballers and they should know that, yes, things like this occur at times. So it's just to rally around themselves. I think Coach Thomas Tuchel now has a lot of work in his hands to pep talk the players, but they are very close to losing a lot of players now, especially the ones that have run out of contract at the end of the season, like the Aspilicuetas, Rudiger, Christensen. Christensen was on the pitch yesterday. Well, like I said, professionally, they should be able to dust it off, but looking at the uncertainty is just terrible for Chelsea right now. It's terrible, but they can still cope. It's just about
okay, Omodia. Now,
10 weeks to the end of the season.
In your projection, in your own estimation, for how long do you think that Chelsea can hold forth, with these sanctions? For just how long do you think can they be able to, just stay in somewhere there, hanging, before things are resolved?
Well, it might not be for long, but the good news, the only escape route now for Chelsea is that we understand, according to reports, that there's a British tycoon that's ready to go ahead with a bid of over $2 billion to purchase the club. It's a property tycoon, and his name is Nick Candy. You must have seen the news. He's ready to take over Chelsea. If that happens, because part of the sanction is Abramovich cannot do business in the UK or with a citizen of the UK. That's the sanction. So if this man comes in with a consortium of some American owners, if he comes to buy the club, if the UK government agrees to the deal, then I think Chelsea will have a lifeline. Otherwise, until the invasion stops, the future is bleak for Chelsea.
And we do not know when that invasion is going to stop. Definitely, the UK government is at loss as well, isn't it? If you are to, look at the implication on the economy of UK, this is a major club in the UK, and definitely it impacts on their economy as well. So, if you may quantify that, what kind of losses are we looking at?
Well, a huge one, if you ask me, a huge one, because football rakes in a lot for the UK government. I mean, one of economic sectors that brings in a lot of money for the UK is not just the sports, but particularly football. Football is more like a religion in the UK. So it rakes in a lot for Chelsea and also for the English Premier League as well, the organisers and even the English FA. So at the moment, they're at loss. But of course, they believe they're doing the right thing, taking the right decision.
Especially if we look at the value chain of all the people, that benefit from
exactly.
This thing.
But we've seen a lot of takeovers in the UK in recent times. The Glazer family taking over Manchester United, also their cross-city rivals as well. That's Manchester City, owned by the Middle East billionaires as well. So, all they believe is, the market is widely open for billionaires to come and invest in the UK. And like my colleague rightly stated, Chelsea need a lifeline. But mark you, they need someone that is also absolutely passionate.
But even if that someone is there right now, from what we have, with the sanctions that are in place right now, the club cannot be sold. So even if the person is there that is capable and is passionate enough,
So that's exactly where the difficulties is coming. So probably, maybe, I don't know when, or it might be anytime soon, but probably Chelsea, might get that soft landing from the UK government.
Okay, now just quickly before we wrap up, now we know FIFA has been quick to, drop the hammer on governments that actually intervene. Do you think they would actually have the boldness to, ban the UK?
Well, I don't think so. I don't think so. At the moment, I don't think so, because this has to do with the club, not the English FA.
Okay.
So that's where, is one way or the other two separate parts.
Okay.
FIFA usually hit the hammer on a country, or slam, a ban on a country whenever, there is, infiltration one way or the other of decisions by that government on the FA. That's the FA running the football affairs of a particular country. So this is different from what we used to have, particularly in developing countries.
All right. Thank you so much, Abdullah Sharif, for joining us on the show today.
It's my pleasure.
Abdullah is a media officer, media consultant, national under-20 team. And thank you so much, Amodia Okulegbe, virtual guest, the sports journalist, for joining us as well.
Thank you very
All right,
much.
with that, we've come to the end of Daybreak today. Thank you so much for tuning in, our viewers. We'll be back again, next week on Daybreak, but tomorrow it's Daybreak Extra. I'm Dasha Husseina Usman. Thank you.
And I am Ayuba Ilya. In case you've missed, you can always catch up on our YouTube and also follow us across all social media platforms. We're right there, at the tip of your fingertip, really. So thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.